For November 12th, we've finished the work we started yesterday on browsing by playlist. Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. Oda Newton, and welcome to the Devember devlog update for November 12th. And let's jump into what we did today, keeping in mind always that weekend days are days where we don't do more than the hour, maybe a little bit more of stuff. Actually, what we did today took, roughly an hour and 20 minutes or so, but I had a couple of interruptions in the middle there, but it all rounded out nicely. Okay, now what this commit here is the last commit from yesterday, as we can see here, which is an experimental modification to allow browsing by playlist. So to bring you up to date very quickly on what we did yesterday, the gist was being able to download the list of playlists and optionally prompt the user to see if they want to search for videos in a particular playlist, and then choose the video and then choose the time code. In addition to what we already had previously of using a tag to find videos and then finding a video based on that tag and then finding a time code, with the idea being that previously the playlist that was used was hard coded to be the uploads playlist. And we fixed that yesterday to be able to gather the list of all playlists, and then you get to choose one of them. And what we were working on was actually extending our existing command to be able to use that functionality to browse, but also to be able to go backwards. And this was the first commit on that. This was in a temporary branch. I was expecting, but possibly, much like previously, we'd have to throw this away. But in fact, that is not what happened. And the very first commit that happened today around here was this, now which we actually finalizes this. Now, this took the bulk of the time that we were working on, pretty much the whole thing, because I sort of went the wrong way with it, if you will. Now, if you watch the live stream where we actually implemented this, which was the live stream that happened on Thursday, you'll know that previously when we were browsing by tags, it would download when you run the command, it gets the information about your channel, then it automatically downloads the list of uploaded videos, gathers all those informations so that it can grab all of the tags and display them to you. You choose a tag, it then opens a new panel that shows you all of the videos that are associated with that tag, allowing you to choose one, which then either copies the video link or opens the table of contents on that video to allow you to choose one of the timestamps inside of it. And in all of those steps, except for the first one, there's an option in the quick panel to go back up to a previous step, to go down and choose something else. And the way we're doing that previously in the live stream, and that code is still working this way, this hasn't been changed, is to use closures, which, if you're unfamiliar with that term, and I might not be using a different terminology because I'm used to this from the idea of Lua, which is the language that first heavily used it, that I have used. You might think of it as lexically scoped variables or a stack capture sort of thing. Generally, the idea being that, say, inside of pick playlist, if you were to call this function and it has a lambda inside of it, there's probably an example of that around here somewhere in the code. Not in this particular change, though, as we'll see in just a moment. When that function gets called, it has access to all of basically the stack that was available at that point in the call. So when we call from tags down to show you the videos, when that callback gets invoked to say the person picked this tag, the callback carries along with it the information about what tag was picked and what the tag list as a whole is. And then when you choose a video, that gets propagated through as well to the time code. And if you decide to go back, it has access to that information at a previous step. And for every level that you add there, it gets a little bit more complicated to remember to track all of the information going down the stack. So I started off doing that with the playlist as well, because if you decide to start, the hierarchy goes first choose a playlist. From the playlist that gives you videos, then you either get the list of videos or you get the list of tags associated with the videos in that playlist. You want that list to be constrained. And then everything carries on from there the way that it did before. The only difference is that instead of having the upload videos be the hard-coded ones, you get to choose. So I started doing that, and it was kind of complicated, and I was getting muddled in my head. And it occurred to me, when you are doing this for time code, you need to store all of the state that came before you, because if you decide you want to leave time code, you need to be able to go back to the list of videos that you were seeing, and similar, which could be different, right? And similarly, if you're browsing by tag, you have to do when you're choosing videos rather, and you need to go back to tag, you have to maintain the list of what tags were available because they come from the playlist. And for the playlist, though, that's not strictly needed because the list of playlists is a known defined quantity. It's captured once, and that's just it. That's just the list of playlists. The list that you see in the panel is always the full list of all of the playlists, whereas the tags you see are based on the videos that are associated with the playlist, and the videos you see are associated with either the playlist or the tags, depending on which way you go, and the table of contents is dependent on the contents of the video. Those are all changeable quantities. If you go up and go down into a different level, you need to be able to go all the way back up. The list of playlists, always the same. For that reason, this change actually became a lot easier to do because all we really have to do is stash the actual list of playlists, as we can see here. Uh, it used to uh, do this bit down here where it called select playlist with this, and it would sort the list of playlists. Now it actually stores that not in a variable but in a instance variable in this command, and that means anytime anything wants to display the list of playlists, it has it. It's self playlists, which makes a lot of this trivial. As we can see, the actual changes here are minuscule compared to what we did previously. The only difference is to the code besides that, which sort of tripped me up a little bit until I worked through all of the examples on the back of a napkin, basically, or all the different permutations of going from a playlist to a list of tags to videos to table of contents and back up through all of the levels with all of the permutations, like going from playlist directly to video instead of going through tags, or things of that nature. There's a couple of different ways that we can go back from videos, and you either need to go back to the table of the tags or to the list of playlists, depending if that other step was in between. So we can see here, for example, if the video ID you choose is back, previously that just went back to select tag directly. But now we only do that if we're actually using tags. The previous supposition was the only time that this special value would appear is if you were browsing by tags, so you didn't need to use this Boolean at this point. Now we do. And again, now the assumption is if back is here, there's only two reasons for it. We're browsing by tags and we're going back, or we're browsing by playlist and we're going back. And this one covers tags, this one covers playlist. And as we can see in this comment, these are in a very specific order, because the order that we define things are, if you started a playlist, you go to tags if someone asks, then you go to videos. It doesn't say, show me a list of tags. Okay, now here's some playlist videos. Maybe that's useful at some point in the future, but you'd have to gather all of the videos first. Kind of defeats the purpose. So as a result, all of this change is a lot tighter than it was previously. And then the last change in here, I may have pushed the wrong key there. I maximized the window, pardon me. There we go, is this. I just changed these because these values here, I noticed while I was testing that this value as part of the kind is the tooltip that you see if you hover your mouse over the icon in the quick panel. And we were using this for playlists and for videos, but playlists aren't videos. So two things to do here are add duplicate kinds that are the same in every fashion except this is here, or manually provide these kinds in the call instead of having them up here as a define, or just remove the text to this, because it's what you really want to see is that the P means private and the U means unlisted. And most things are going to be public. You're not even going to notice that you can hover the mouse over there to see the tooltip. And if you do, you get to know that the thing is public, and it'll be very easy to understand what it is based on context. So that's what we did here. Now, what I'm going to continue working on tomorrow, if I get the time and if things go the way that I want, is to start modifications to how the data structure for this thing works. Because as I mentioned at the end of yesterday's devlog, whenever we capture a playlist and we ask for contents, the code grabs the list of all of the videos in there by detail, and that whole request is cached as a whole. The I want contents of uploads This is everything including the videos. I want contents of just the plugin 101. This is the contents including the videos, which means it's redundantly looking up video information that it maybe doesn't have to look up. But if we change how the stray data is structured internally, then we can make that code not just always ask for, but see, has anyone ever asked for information on this particular video? And that I think will make things a lot nicer in here. I also want to do some cosmetic changes as well. But that is going to be all we have for this particular one. If you want to see these things when they arrive, if you're coming to this at a later date and it's not currently December 12th, I use the buttons down below to thumb, subscribe, and share. Ring the bell notification icon. You will be notified when this becomes available. And of course, you can always subscribe to my other channel, linked down in the description below, if you want weekly video tutorials on how to work with plugins in Sublime Text and how to work with Sublime Text in general. All here through Devember, we're working on plugin 101 videos because we're going to be going back to tutorial videos in the new year and also covering Sublime Text 4 when it comes out. So until any of those things happen, this is ODAT Nerd asking you to please have a sublime day.